a pleasant atmosphere to each and everyone. I'm here again to discuss the lesson 8 in developmental reading 1. Reading and the content areas and study skills. When we say content areas, it refers to a defined domain of knowledge and skill in an academic program. Example of this are the science, social studies, mathematics, and English subjects. So, the importance of content areas and study skills. And according to Thomas Gunning, most of the reading required in college and career is informational rather than literacy because there are too much stress on early literacy, such as decoding and fluency, and too stress on science, social studies, and other content areas. So when we were in elementary and secondary, we already learned about the literacy, such as decoding and fluency. That is why when we are in college, most of the reading required is informational rather than literacy. And there are the challenge of content area literacy. Students unprepared for content area reading, such as denser text. So there are a lot of informations and complicated thoughts, and it takes time to work through and it's hard to understand. There are richer vocabulary. So some students not loaded with vocabulary, or maybe they just learned a few words and more complex structure. There are many different words and connected parts that's difficult to understand, and there are different purposes. Next challenge is textual features that foster learning. So, as a teacher, we will give the students an extra help, provide audio version, publisher aids, trade books, and give them an easier text. So there are instructional techniques that help students build conceptual understanding, help students make connections, use effective reading and learning strategies. So example of this are the use of technology in the classroom, the visualization, cooperative learning, inquiry-based instruction that can be used in before reading, during reading, and after reading. So in before reading, structured overview, the teacher will give a general review or a summary of a topic before reading, and there is also anticipation guides. So it is a comprehension strategy that is used before reading to activate students' prior knowledge and build curiosity about a new topic. It also stimulates students' interest in a topic and set a purpose for reading. And there are steps need to followed in anticipation guides. For the step 1, identification of major concepts and establishing objectives. So teacher will identify the major concepts or the major topics and establish the objectives. And for the step 2 is to determine the student's background. And for the step 3, creation of statements for the guide. For the step 4, introduction of the guide. And for step 5, whole class discussion and responses. And for the step 6, reading of the text. And the last is there is a discussion of text and statements and evaluation. In during reading, these instructional techniques that can be used like chapter organization and text structure. Think Aloud Strategy Guide. So there is an ongoing understanding of what they are reading and during reading. For the after reading, some instructional techniques can be used, such as analogies, especially for science, used a graphic organizers, and applying and extending. And there are strategy also, like KWL stands for know, want to know, and learn. It is a technique designed to give students an active role before, during, and after reading. It's designed to help readers build and organize background and seek out and reflect on key elements in a reading selection. So this is an example of KWL chart. In the column know, students will write what they know. For the column want to know, they will write what they want to know. And for the column learn, they will write what they learned. Another strategy is the SQ3R, a theory-based study strategy. A five-step technique known as SQ3R. It is a device in the 1940s. It is the most thoroughly documented and widely used study technique in English-speaking countries. So, in applying SQ3R for the survey, first is survey the chapter that you are about to read to get an overall picture of what it is about. Glance over the title and headings. Quickly read the overview and summary. In the questions, turn each heading into a question. Answering the question you created gives you a purpose for reading. And for the read to answer the question. Having a question to answer focuses your attention and makes you more an active reader. And for the recite, when you come to an end of the section, stop and test yourself. Try to answer your question, and the answer should be brief. Otherwise, SQ3R takes up too much time. For the review, when you have finished the assignment, spend a few minutes reviewing that you read, because the review helps you put information together and remember it longer. And this is an example of an SQ3R graphic organizer. So for the survey, you're going to write what do you see happening to the characters in the story. And for the column question, you're going to write what questions do you have about this story. For the column read, you're going to write what do you need to remember or what is important. Another strategy is the metacognitive study strategies. So for strategy in asking question, it is you're going to write down what do I want to learn. So in the description, this includes setting up hypotheses, setting aims, defining boundaries of area to be explored, discovering audience, and relating tasks to previous work. In planning, you're going to write how will I go about the task. So this includes deciding on tactics and subdividing the overall task into subtasks. For the monitoring, you're going to, am I answering my questions? And this is a continuing attempt to see whether the results of one's efforts match the questions posed or purposes set. And for the checking, you're going to write, how have I done so far? So this is a preliminary check to assess results and tactics. For revising, you're going to write, what do I have to change? So, in the description, tactics, results, or goals may have to be changed. And for the self-testing in this final evaluation, you're going to write how did I do or what do I learn. Both the results and the method of achieving them are assessed. And that's all for the lesson 8. Thank you.